Hello and welcome back to Tales of Lumin. You have found your way to the final BlizzCon recap or BlizzCon Storytime video. This one is about day 3 or 4 or whatever you want to call the final day that I was there. The day that I went home on. The day that everyone was sad on because BlizzCon was over. The day that everyone started complaining about the con flu that they no doubt picked up. And then later complained about more. Just because they actually did pick it up. It was confirmed. I don't know. It never happens to me for some reason. When I go to big, crowded public places, I don't just pick up some or other sickness or virus. I guess I'm lucky like that? I don't know. Am I lucky like that? Is this something that usually happens? Because everyone I spoke to at the event and then spoke to afterwards again, say on Twitter or Skype or via email or something, they told me that they were just, you know, recovering from con flu, that they got sick, that they weren't feeling all that good. I was feeling great. You know, the day I came back and the day after that, I wasn't feeling that great, sure, because I was like super tired, didn't get enough sleep, and there was a lot of catch up that I needed to do. But other than that, you know, it was okay. So, let's get started talking about the final day that I was there. I had a very eventful morning on the last day because I made the mistake of going downstairs without shoes on. I went barefoot, and let me tell you, it was the craziest thing. So I walked past the reception in the hotel. It's fine. I think it was only fine because they couldn't see my feet. I was clean, okay, I just showered. I'm just assuming it wasn't, I don't know, classy enough for a, is it a 4-star hotel? I don't know, okay, I'm not going to go into that part of it, but what happened was I came down into the lobby, I walked through there, fine, had my little meal ticket in my hand. I was super excited for breakfast, as always. I mean, how couldn't I be? And I was also about to just go out to the pool area because I wanted to see the pool and I wanted to check the laundromat out and, you know, all that other stuff. So I was planning on going outside and going to breakfast. But what happened was, when I made my way into the breakfast area, then I was pretty much body blocked by the lady that usually takes the ticket. She stands behind a little pedestal there, okay? And she like jumped in front of me and said like, Sir, you cannot come in here without shoes on, sir. And then this big guy who was man in the floor, I don't really know what he was doing. I don't know what his role was there, but he jumped out of nowhere and he started like trying to escort me out. He was like, sir, you cannot be here without shoes on. We would really appreciate it if you went back to your room and found some shoes to wear. It was seriously like an Ebola scare, like an outbreak of the worst possible virus or sickness that you can imagine. But it was just me, without my shoes on. I didn't have no hairy, scary looking hobbit feet. No, my feet looked normal. I was wearing long pants so you could barely see my feet. But it was terrible. I guess it was a little disrespectful of me, and it's my bad. Okay, it's entirely my bad, but it's something that I'm just not used to. Okay, I hardly ever wear shoes. When I have to wear something on my feet, it's usually flip-flops, slip-slops. What do you call them? Sandals. That's what they're called. Okay, so it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And I mean, obviously I said like, whoa, okay, I didn't know I couldn't come down here without shoes on. Spot the African boy. So I put shoes on. I went back down and then the lady, she had her eyes on me. She watched me while I was eating breakfast. She just gave me this super serious angry stare the whole time. Like I had, whew, you know, okay, finished. Done. So that happened. It was amazing. I loved it. So I had breakfast. Again, not going to talk about how amazing breakfast was because it was just super amazing. It's the best thing ever. Buffet breakfasts and me. We were like this when possible. I sat there for... So actually, that's also worth noting. I went down like 7:30 in the morning. I was the first person up. There was one other German dude who seemed to also be an early riser, but I went down there at 7:30. I sat down and I just braced myself for the long haul because I was going to stay there for a while. I wanted to at least wait until Helen had come down as well, and until a couple of the other people had made their way down there, so I could just say goodbye and stuff and socialize a little bit before leaving, because I knew they all left at 12, at exactly 12 in the day, and I only left at 5 p.m. That's when my shuttle arrived. So their shuttle arrived at 12, mine at 5. I had a lot more time. So what happened was I sat there from 7:30 till about 8-ish alone, and I just, I took it slow. Got myself a plate of food, and I kind of started with like the fruits and then a little bit of cereal and stuff like that, like the lighter, slightly healthier stuff. And then I went through the whole like 3-course meal process basically while I was sitting there. It was amazing. I also had like 2 cups of coffee, some orange juice, some water. I had it all. Okay, I had it all, and this was all throughout the time that I was sitting there from 7:30 till about 9, because what happened was I just sat there alone for about a half an hour. Then a German guy, not 2 German guys, a German guy and a Polish guy came down, and then after that Helen came down, and then after that the French dudes came down, one of them being Thud, is that how you say his name? Thud? The StarCraft 2 / Heroes of the Storm dude, and a few other people. Basically, people came, people went. We sat there for a while. It was nice, really social occasion, and we had a good talk. And that was, again, just a highlight for me, being able to just sit, relax, talk, have a good time. And then, after that, we all went our separate ways. They went back to their rooms. I also went back to my room. I started packing, organizing my suitcase and stuff. And then we met down a little bit later downstairs. I think probably about, 10:30, 11-ish. And we all sat in the lobby waiting for their taxi, because a whole bunch of them left together. Then when the taxi finally arrived, then it was time for the sad goodbyes. And in that taxi, the guys from the Marriott and the Hilton were also. So I got to say goodbye to the Blizzard EU guys. All of them. They were all in there. They all left at the same time. And the other people from the very same area. So those are the other hotels. And it was not nice. Obviously, it's not nice saying goodbye, because we had just been through quite an experience together. I don't want to say an ordeal, because I didn't see it as an ordeal, but quite an experience together. And they were now friends. Okay? It was a friendship forged in the fires of BlizzCon battle. Sure, the battle varied across the days. Sometimes we were battling with other BlizzCon goers. Sometimes with power outages. Sometimes with the food up in the press area. Or the gaming PCs in the press gaming area. It doesn't matter. But we spent a lot of time together, and by the end of it, I definitely, and some of them I had called friend before, but I definitely thought I could call the lot of them friends. So it's great. Okay, so we said goodbye. It was super sad. I went back upstairs, indoors. I went first indoors, then back upstairs, and I just made sure everything was like 100%, because at 12 o'clock I had to check out. So I got all my stuff together and went down into the lobby, and then when I got back down there, checked out, the guy actually said behind the counter that I got to keep my little card so I could use the shuttles and go, to downtown Disney, to the shops. I could even go to Disneyland if I wanted. I didn't want to go to Disneyland. I could go to the restaurants, I could go to the other hotels, whatever. I could use the shuttles to go pretty much anywhere around there. But then, at the same time that I was busy checking out, the 2 Brazilian guy and girl that I briefly met on the first day, the guy, his nickname is, I'm probably going to say it wrong. I said Nepo, because it's N-E-P-O, but it's got a little doodly above the E, so it's like Nepo, I think that's how you say it. He actually came up to me and he's at the community mixer on the first day, and he said he watched my videos and he was a fan, and it was great. I mean, I had literally that happen once, and it was just him. That's it. Once throughout the entire weekend, and it was amazing. It was nice. I also checked his work out, and it's obviously his graphic design capabilities are right up there. I was so impressed, and he gave me his business card, and I immediately felt bad for not having a business card, because it was beautiful. Anyway, so he was there along with a girl that went by the name of Flavia, and I'm not going to try to say her nickname because the last time I tried to say it, it just didn't work. But she is, or was from the, probably still is, the WoW Girls site. They're both Brazilian. Both their channels/sites are Brazilian. And we just had the nicest time talking. We sat in the lobby, in like the loungy area of the lobby, which had a real fire going. It was kind of warm on my back, but, you know, it was still nice. We sat on the couches there, talked a little bit about things. She actually told me that she had just bought a new iPad, which a lot of people did when they went there, apparently, because the iPads are so cheap. That sparked something in my mind, which I'll tell you about later. But we spent some time together, we spoke a little bit, and they were incredibly, incredibly good company. Okay, they were two of the nicest people that I'd met all week, and that's saying something, because I met a whole lot of nice people, and we just clicked, okay? We could just talk. We could just talk and talk and talk and talk, and it was a nice feeling, because for some reason I just felt like we were all on the same wavelength. I mean, obviously we were all pretty much around the same age, we were all in the same profession, we had the same likes and dislikes, I guess, and it was nice. Really nice talking to them. We decided we were going to go for lunch, or, you know, I guess a little, what comes after lunch? Between lunch and dinner, we went for a meal that was situated around there. Then so we took the shuttle down to, I don't know if it was downtown Disney, we went to the entrance of Disneyland. I guess that is actually downtown Disney. And we walked around a bit, we saw a couple of the American establishments, and we went to a place called Tony Roma's? I think that's what it was called. I don't remember. I think that was it. And the guy there actually warned us when we were about to order that their portions are like really, really, really big. So myself and Flavia, the girl from WoW Girl, we shared a chicken pasta type thing, and it was really good, and it was a lot of food. As in, we shared it, we told him up front we're going to share this, so he brought us 2 bowls, and they were stacked. 2 big bowls like this. I don't get it. I don't even want to know how big the normal portion would have been if we didn't split it. But hey, we had food there, it was really nice, it was a cool place. It was like a sports bar, I think. But they had the normal tables and stuff. We enjoyed the meal. It was nice. And we went back. We didn't really walk around very much because we didn't have that much time, because we ended up sitting around talking for so long. So when that was done, we also said our goodbyes, and if I'm not mistaken, she left about half an hour before I would have left, and then he left, Nepo, his name was Raphael, he left at around the same time as me. He called a cab, she took a shuttle, and that was that. And after that, well, I just waited for my shuttle and hitched a ride to the airport. I was in a shuttle with a guy called Big D. That's what he called himself, at least. And it was great, because he was from the hood. He told me this. And it was also just really interesting talking to him, because it was not the kind of person that I'd come into contact with before. Like, I didn't speak to anyone like that before. He was a really, really big fellow, mean-looking guy, but he was so nice. So nice. I even remember the first thing he said to me. First, he came into the lobby and he asked, "Is there Mr. Paulson here?" And then he apologized profusely for being early, but he said that his daddy told him to rather be 15 minutes early than 2 hours late. And I was like, okay, sold. So he took my bag, we went out, and in the actual shuttle ride, we picked up some other people. I'll get to that right now. But he told me that he is very good friends with Franklin from GTA. And it's funny, because when I got in there and I started talking to him, I thought to myself, wow, the accent is exactly the same. The way he sounds and the way he talks, the pronunciation of the words, just the little mannerisms in his speech, exactly the same. So I kind of believed him. You know, he knew a lot of intimate details about Franklin from GTA, and he sounded exactly the same. He said that Franklin, and for those that don't know, Franklin is the black dude from GTA, and it was modeled after a real, like, gangster type dude who's apparently a friend of Big D, and they were in a motorcycle club together. So it was really interesting to me. He had a lot of cool stuff to say about that, and about GTA, and about cars as well. We spoke about hybrid cars, like how the hybrid engines work, where if you like driving slower or lower than a certain amount of revs or lower than a certain speed, it uses the electric engine. Then when you put your foot down, it starts using the gas. It's pretty cool. Okay, he explained all of that stuff to me, and I was obviously fascinated by it because I knew nothing about hybrids or electric cars or anything. So that was great. And then we picked up some people from New Zealand in the shuttle, and then instantly he started talking to the people in the front row of seats because I sat in the back. And then a lady, obviously also from New Zealand, who was a travel agent, she sat next to me. And because it was a 1 hour ride, at least, drive to the airport, we had some time. And we also spoke most of the way to the airport. I just made so many friends there, okay? And she, because she's a travel agent, she ended up traveling a lot. I don't know how that works, you know. I don't always see travel agents as the kind of people that actually do the traveling. But she and her family that were in the van with me, they had been to the three of the different Disneylands in the past couple of months. So she told me about that. She also told me about a plane that was painted like Smaug from New Zealand that I was apparently meant to look out for because I wanted to see that as well. I mean, obviously. The whole plane was apparently this super dark black color with scales on. And then the front was like this fiery dragon snoot. I'd love to see that. So, a Hobbit-themed, Lord of the Rings style Smaug plane. Like, wow. Wow. I want to see that. I didn't see it anyway. Okay. I even asked one of the air hostesses if she had seen it, and she said she'd heard of it, but she had not seen it herself. I wanted to see that. Because that sounded fun. So, spoke to her. Was really cool. Having a nice chat to the airport. It basically makes the entire process of traveling, sitting in a shuttle for an hour, much more enjoyable. Having these people to talk to the whole time. When I got to the airport, it was littered with BlizzCon folk. Saw all the Overwatch t-shirts, the BlizzCon t-shirts, the poster tubes. Lots of things that could immediately just tell me this guy, or that girl, or these guys, or those dudes were also at BlizzCon. And I, after checking in and stuff, after handing my bag over and that, I walked around a little bit in the post-processing area. I don't know what you call that place, okay? Just before you board, basically. And I almost bought an iPad Air 2, just because of how cheap it was. Didn't really even have the money, but I almost bought it anyway. Just because of how cheap it was. It is like less than half the price that I would pay for an iPad Air 2 here. Actually, no. The iPad Air 2 isn't even here yet in South Africa. But it's less than half the price I'd pay for an iPad Air 1 here. So I was excited about that. But I resisted because it's not something I need. It's just something I want. So I said that to myself. And I resisted. Didn't get it. Then I also found two guys that actually stopped me and, you know, said hey to me. They were from the website Icy Veins. And I was shocked, you know, because this is a website that I use and visit, like, all the time. That is my preferred website. And I even said to them, after they said that they are from Icy Veins, you guys do a much better job than Noxic, because I don't like Noxic. I use Icy Veins. I also don't like those silly DPS charts that Noxic keep putting up, because those are not realistic damage, and people take them way too seriously. They're like, well, on Noxic, it says you should be doing this amount of DPS. Why are you only doing half that? It's silly. And they agreed with me that it was silly. We spoke a lot about BlizzCon, about Blizzard, about business. Okay, these guys, they sounded like geniuses. I was so impressed by everything they had to say. Just fanboying over them, obviously. But it was nice. Spoke a little bit. Ended up boarding the same plane as them, just because they were also going to Heathrow. And then, hey, another 10.5, 11-hour flight, which was again on one of the big planes, but it was average. You know, it wasn't a great flight. It's never really great. Is it ever great? No, it's not really. It's never a great flight. It's not. Okay? And I really don't have much to say about the rest of this. So, like, basically, I flew to Heathrow. I sat around there for another 3 hours, which was boring. I sat on one of those funny little lazy boy chair type things they have in the one section of Heathrow, and I just waited. I didn't even feel like walking around because I was tired and bored of Heathrow. Didn't want to see any more of it, but I was tired. So then I boarded the flight back to Johannesburg. I watched a lot of movies, in this time. I put the movies here somewhere. I did put them here somewhere. I'll tell you quickly if I can find them. Let's have a look. Planes, Fire and Rescue. I watched that. I watched Blended. I watched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy. I watched How to Train Your Dragon 2. And I watched one more. I do not recall what it was. But it was good. I enjoyed the movies. And it keeps you busy, Even though you're like half falling asleep while you're watching it, but you don't fall asleep because it's too uncomfortable. It was still okay. Then I had to fly to Johannesburg and then take another short flight. So it was like LAX, Heathrow, Johannesburg, Cape Town. And then Cape Town, I still had to drive home. But on the flight to Johannesburg, it was on like a really small, dingy little plane. I met a couple of American businessmen that were on their way to Cape Town that were telling me all about how amazing and terrible KFC was. Amazing because of the amount of business that they do in Africa and how much they sell and how much better they are than all the competition. Better in terms of their business model and how much money they make, basically. But then also how terrible it is because of how bad the actual chicken from KFC is. It was quite interesting. Quite interesting. I told them, that I wholeheartedly agree that KFC really doesn't taste all that good, but it does sell incredibly well. I don't know. Okay. It's the most popular takeaway place in South Africa by far. So that's obviously why they were coming down there. They said that they were coming down for some other studies or classes or a business course or something like that. I don't know. They were being sent by their company down there. They asked me about surfing and where the best waves were and where the best beaches were and stuff like that. It was okay. It was interesting. And that's pretty much it. I boarded the flight, flew down to Cape Town. Then I had to go and... Oh no, then the nice surprise was that Helene was actually... My wife Helene was actually waiting at the airport for me, along with her father, because she hitched a ride with her father from our house here to the Cape Town International Airport. He dropped her off there, and then she drove back home with me. And then the drive home was obviously super pleasant because she was with me there. I hadn't seen her in a couple of days, like a week actually, and we had a lot to talk about. About her time, about my time, and about all the rest. But that, my friends, is that. That was my BlizzCon experience. It was exciting getting home to see Nero again. He was looking kind of confused when I came in there. Concerned at first. But then he rushed out and he sort of embraced the fact that Daddy was finally home. It was nice. Okay, it was really nice. And I was happy to be back. But that's it. Now I forgot a couple of things in the first couple of videos. I apparently mixed a few things up as well. And I say apparently because I just wasn't entirely sure. I think I am now. For instance, stuff like I actually met Helene in the first shuttle ride from the airport to the hotel along with Trolden. These are kind of things that I just didn't think of. But it doesn't really matter. Small things. I think I've got everything that needed to be in here. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Because this is not the end of the BlizzCon coverage videos. This is basically just the start. I'm going to be doing a recap video about all the games and stuff that were announced. And then I'm going to be doing singular videos to discuss my experiences playing the new stuff. But I'll tell you more about that soon enough. This is it. This is the end of the BlizzCon Storytime videos. The full-on recaps of the days. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to give this video a like and share it and do all that other good stuff. Check back here soon for a whole lot more. And most importantly, happy BlizzCon 2014. And happy all the amazing people that made it as good as it was. For me at least. Happy that.